The next topic is organization of educational activity. Plan of today's lecture is next. First, organization of educational and cognitive activity as a psychological and pedagogical phenomenon. Interaction, the basis of qualitative organization of educational and cognitive activity. Third, organizational forms of teaching. Fourth, organizational methods of active teaching and learning activities of students. Organization of educational and cognitive activities is an important function of educational management. The concept of organization in psychology is explored in two senses. First of all, we have organization sense, an organization understood as a process, an activity aimed at streamlining the interaction of people, ideas, and opportunities. And second, organization is a form of manifestation of the joint activities of people in certain respects. The function of organization as a psychological phenomenon involves the following sequence of actions. First, definition of objectives, targets, especially actions of the participant of administrative activity. Next, identifying opportunities and conditions for an effective subject-object interaction. Then, establishing requirements for the actions of people, their sequence and timing of their implementation. Then, the choice of forms and methods, that ways to make their mutual action to fulfill the goals. Then, definition of the system of necessary organizational relationships, subordination, coordination, cooperation. And the last one, creating motivation for all participants to achieve the goals. Organization as a function of educational management can be understood as a process of specially organized interaction aimed at efficient solution of teaching goals and objectives in the course of knowledge transmission and learning of basic knowledge, social, cultural, and professional business experience. But this interaction is determined, planned, implemented, and motivated by the teacher. Interaction is a psychological and pedagogical literature is understood as a system of independent individual actions caused by the activity of the subject of study for the creation of an enabling teaching and learning environment in the course of transmission, learning and mastering the necessary system of knowledge and skills. Basic principles to ensure the interaction of teachers and students in the organization of their educational activity are next. First of all, definition and acceptation of goals of educational and cognitive activities. Secondary, formulating and realizing of motivation of educational and cognitive activities. Third, understanding of the subject by teachers and students, of course, understanding of the subject themselves as a single entity. Then, creation and maintenance of positive teaching and learning environment that encourages active perception and assimilation of educational material. The last principle, forming a clear algorithm of actions for those who teach and for those who learn the necessary system of knowledge and skills. Forms of organization of educational and cognitive activities. A concept form in philosophy understood as the outside organization of content that defines ordering detention for the achievement of perfection and harmony. In pedagogy, the form category is used in three values. First value, form of education, Then, form of organization of educational and cognitive activities. Then, organizational forms of education. Forms of education is an external, in a certain way established order. The law of Ukraine on higher education emitted such forms of education as daytime, evening time, extramural, distance, and externat. Forms of education organization or organizational form of education. It is limited in the time and space, relation activity of teachers and students, aimed on realization of goals and tasks of teaching. Forms of education organization reflect the organizational aspect of teaching and learning activities within a limited and space. Form of educational organization solves such problems as, first of all, it regulates joint activities of teachers and students, or pupils as you wish. Then, defines a requirement for those who transmit and those who perceive and assimilate knowledge and skills. Then, reflect the ratio of individual, group, and collective learning and cognitive activity. Then, reveal the degree of students' activity in the course of transmission, perception, and assimilation of educational material. Next, let's discuss classification of training and learning activities forms. First classification. Depending on the number of students participating in the educational and cognitive activity, there are, first of all, collective, lectures, conferences, then groups, examples, lectures, seminars, practical laboratory exercises, colloquiums, excursions, concealings, and so on. Then individual, practical tasks, laboratory classes, concealing, training, tests, exams, self-study, etc. Second classification, depending on goals in educational and cognitive activities, there are forms of assimilation of theoretical knowledge, lecture, self-study, proseminar, colloquium, seminar. Then, forms of skills and abilities, possession, practical, laboratory class, practice, training, etc. And at last, form of control organization for the assimilation of knowledge and skills. Here we can have seminars, practical, laboratory exams, test, state exam, defense of course and diploma works. Function of organizational forms of learning. First function, educational, aimed at the organization, transmission, perception and learning a system of knowledge and skills. Then, training, aimed at the formation of the quality system, the properties of ethics, ideology, beliefs, etc. Third one, developing, aimed at developing the high level of students' culture, intellect, ability, readiness for creative and transforming activity. Then, organizing, aimed at ensuring the mutual actions of teachers and students in the course of transmission, perception, and assimilation of knowledge and skills. Methods of educational and cognitive activity organization. Methods is a way of research or cognition. Methods of educational and cognitive activities is a set of teaching methods that provide interaction of teachers and students aimed at the effective solution of didactic goals and tasks. Teaching methods solves its methodological aspects by answering next question. First of all, how to teach, Secondary, of course, how to learn. Functions of organizational methods for educational and cognitive activity are next. First of all, educational. It provides optimal conditions for transmission, perception, and learning of necessary skills and knowledge system. Then, upbringing, providing optimal conditions for the formation of students' necessary quality system of properties, attitudes, beliefs, worldviews. Then, developing, providing optimal conditions for the development of students' cognitive interests, memory, thinking, intellectual and creative activity. Then, organizational, ensuring optimum interaction of those who transmit as those who perceive and assimilate educational information. The last one, incentive, which provides stimulating of educational and informative interests of students and intellectual creativity of teachers. Classification of organizational methods of educational and cognitive activity. First one, organizational methods of educational and cognitive activity of students are following. First of all, methods of obtaining new knowledge. We can have lectures, conferences, diploma work, and independent work here. Then, methods of securing of studied material. We can have heuristic conversations, debates, discussions, workshop, a method of brainstorming here, and so on. Then, methods of organizing students' interaction. We can have exercises, project methods, discussions, heuristic conversations, and so on. And then, methods of practical skills development. The accumulation of experience in teaching and professional activities. We can have here practical classes, exercises, workshop, case methods, project methods, business games, analysis of situations, and searching for optimal ways of their solutions. Second classification. Stimulation methods of educational and cognitive activities of students are following. Methods of emotional stimulation, emotional presentation of informational demonstration of own position, the selection of bright and convincing examples and facts, statistic data also. Then, methods of cognitive interest development, asking questions that require mental efforts, finding the answer on the basis of the analysis of knowledge, experience, and professional life, formulating of theoretical questions or discussions, analysis of situation and examples from the practical life. Also, we have methods of responsibility and commitment formation, pedagogical requirement, a regular survey, individual tasks, etc. And methods of individual creativity development. We can have here formulation of problem questions, revealing the contradictions, hypotheses, searching conditions for their confirmation, organizing of discussions, stimulating individual approach to the professional and business problems, developing innovative approaches to standard situation solving. Third classification, control and diagnostic methods of educational and cognitive activity of students are following. Constant monitoring during classroom and extracurricular work. Then blitz control and testing. Then examination, comprehensive reference work. Then current control. It can be reports, abstracts, essays. Then intermediate control. We can have here colloquium, comprehensive reference work, and coursework. and a final control, tests, exams, diploma work, the state exam. During the election of teaching methods, a teacher must know that no single method independently will not be able to ensure the quality and effectiveness of educational and cognitive activities of students. For this, it is necessary to use the system of methods in their organic unity and relationship. Selection and variation of a system of use methods depends on the specific subjects, the level of teaching experience and skill of the teacher, and the educational and intellectual development of student. For correct selection of educational and cognitive activity methods, we should take into account such criteria as goals and tasks of the disciplines in the system of education and professional training. Secondary, the specificity of interaction and relationships of teachers and students in the course of transmission, perception, and assimilation of knowledge and skills. Third, psychopedagogical, educational, and methodical conditions of educational and cognitive activities organization. Psychological, pedagogical, educational, and methodical conditions of educational and cognitive activities organization are next. Educational and cognitive readiness of students to the perception, assimilation, and reproduction of educational material. Level of intellectually creative activity of students, their ability to interact in order to achieve positive results of educational and cognitive activities. Then, scientific, educational, professional, and methodical preparation of teachers. Then, ensuring the scientific literature, textbooks, complexes, etc. Thank you for attention. That's it for this lecture.